Bethesda Game Studios. To many, these words immediately bring to mind one thing: Skyrim. Released over a decade ago, Skyrim remains one of the most iconic, influential, modded, and beloved games of all time. A sprawling world of dragons, epic quests, and timeless open-world adventure, it's a title that continues to be discussed and celebrated by fans and critics alike. But there's another game. Now, we all know the comparisons. Skyrim was groundbreaking in its day, and Starfield, well, it's different. It's set in space. It's not filled with dragons, but rather a big, empty world. But there's more to Starfield than just the size of its universe. At its heart, Starfield is a profound meditation on humanity, on the pursuit of meaning, and the endless questions that will continue to challenge our species as we reach for the stars. In this video, we're going to dive into why Starfield is not only a worthy successor to Bethesda's legacy, but arguably their most ambitious game yet. A game that deserves to be recognized as Bethesda's true masterpiece, and how social contagion played a big part in affecting its release. Before we dive into Starfield, let's take a quick look at Bethesda's history. For over 2 decades, Bethesda Game Studios has redefined the RPG genre. From Morrowind to Fallout to Oblivion to Skyrim, they've crafted open worlds filled with deep lore, player choice, and a sense of discovery that few others have been able to replicate. And also a few bugs. Bethesda is known for creating living, breathing worlds. Their games aren't just about checking off quest objectives. They're about immersion, about living in another world. They've mastered the art of taking you to places you've never been and showing you things you've never seen. But with each new title, they've pushed the envelope further, testing the boundaries of their signature open world formula. And with Starfield, they've taken it even a step further. In this game, they've traded the familiar fantasy realms of Skyrim and the wastelands of Fallout for the infinite expanse of space. But while the setting may be different, Starfield carries forward the same principles that made Bethesda games great: player freedom, detailed world building, and a focus on the stories that emerge from exploration. Unlike their previous titles, Starfield doesn't just expand the map, it expands the very nature of what it means to explore a world. Skyrim was a land of dragons and ancient prophecies, a world grounded in magic and myth. Starfield is a world grounded in reality, or at least what could be a very real future. It's a world where humanity stands on the cusp of becoming a true spacefaring civilization, asking questions about where we fit in the cosmos. But where does that leave Starfield and Bethesda's legacy? Is it just another game in a long line of open world titles? Or is it something more? Starfield is not just a game about personal identity. Starfield tackles broader, more existential questions about humanity's place in the cosmos and what lies beyond the stars. Space, as we know it, is vast, and in Starfield, that vastness isn't just a backdrop. It's a mirror for humanity's own infinite potential. As you travel from one planet to the next, you begin to see the endless possibilities that await humanity as it pushes beyond Earth's boundaries. But that sense of infinity is double-edged. With every planet you discover, every new species you encounter, every new mystery you uncover, you're forced to reckon with what it means to push into the unknown. What happens when we finally reach the limits of what we can understand? And can we live with that uncertainty? The game's philosophical depth is woven into the very fabric of its universe. The mysteries you uncover aren't just scientific, they're metaphysical. The alien ruins you stumble upon are not just ancient artifacts, they're symbols of something larger. In a universe that feels truly infinite, how do we make sense of our place? How do we shape our future when the horizon seems endless? Starfield doesn't have the answer. but it poses the question time and time again. Space has always been a symbol of the infinite. In Starfield, this infinity is both exhilarating and daunting. The procedural generation of Starfield's universe isn't just a technical achievement, it's a reflection of the randomness and vastness of existence itself. Each planet, each star, is a tiny piece of a much larger, incomprehensible puzzle. The characters in Starfield often grapple with questions of purpose and belief. Some seek wealth, others seek knowledge, and a few search for transcendence. These differing motivations echo the diversity of human aspirations. Through its dialogue and storylines, Starfield invites players to reflect on their own motivations. Why do we seek the stars? Is it for adventure, for understanding? Or is it for the constant need to keep reaching? Starfield at its best becomes more than a game. It becomes a meditation on what it means to be human. Now let's talk about one of Starfield's more interesting cultural touchstones. 2001: A Space Odyssey. If you've ever watched Kubrick's masterpiece, you'll know that it's a film about the unknown, about our search for meaning in a universe that seems both infinite and incomprehensible. The famous monoliths in 2001 are an enigmatic symbol of higher intelligence, sparking humanity's next phase of evolution, and in many ways, Starfield echoes this idea. Much like 2001, Starfield is less about immediate action and more about contemplation. It asks us to reflect on what we are, where we're going, and what lies beyond our comprehension. The game is intentionally slow and meditative at times, urging players to spend long periods of time in space, navigating between planets or contemplating the vast silent void. The emptiness of space in the game mirrors the silence and the solitude that 2001 explores in its depiction of space travel. Furthermore, draws from these themes, positioning itself as a game not just about space exploration, but about what space exploration means for us as humans. The game constantly asks us to grapple with the immensity of space and the limitations of humanity. It's a theme that echoes 2001's depiction of human evolution and the search for something greater than ourselves. Starfield is constantly questioning what it means to be human in an ever-expanding universe. All of that's well and good, but that doesn't necessarily make Starfield a fun game. So what does make it a fun game? First and foremost is the customization and personalization. Starfield's gameplay excels in allowing players to shape their own experience. From creating a unique protagonist to designing custom ships, every aspect of the game can be tailored to the individual preferences, much like Bethesda's other titles. Starfield's combat and gunplay is some of the best I've ever felt. Players have access to a diverse arsenal of weapons, from conventional firearms to futuristic energy-based weaponry. Each weapon class feels distinct with its own handling, damage types, and special effects. This diversity allows players to experiment and find the tools that best suit their playstyle. What makes the combat so engaging to me is the responsiveness of the controls. Gunplay feels tight and precise, with smooth aiming and impactful feedback for every shot. Whether you're wielding a shotgun in close quarters or picking off enemies with a sniper rifle, the sense of weight and power in every weapon adds to the satisfaction. Bethesda's attention to detail and weapon design ensures that even minor elements like reload animations and sound effect contribute to the immersion. Unlike Fallout 4 that needed to rely on VATS to make the gunplay feel satisfying, Bethesda has nailed the perfect balance between smooth and visceral. One of Starfield's key selling points is its expansive universe, featuring over 1,000 planets to explore. However, the game relies heavily on procedural generation to populate these planets with landscapes, structures, and activities. While this approach allows for a vast number of explorable locations, it comes with some notable drawbacks. Many players have expressed that the planets feel repetitive and lack a distinct sense of identity. Unlike Bethesda's earlier games, which featured meticulously handcrafted worlds, Starfield's reliance on algorithms can result in barren and monotonous environments. The sense of discovery, a hallmark of previous Bethesda titles, is diminished when exploration yields similar landscapes and assets across multiple planets. For players seeking meaningful interactions and storytelling, the sheer scale of procedurally generated content can feel overwhelming yet hollow. Another prominent criticism of Starfield is its approach to space travel. Rather than offering long, seamless transitions between planets, space stations, and other locations, the game relies on frequent loading screens. While these transitions serve as a necessary compromise to manage the game's technical demands, they disrupt the immersion and undermine the sense of being in a vast, interconnected galaxy. For a game that promises the thrill of space exploration, the segmented travel mechanics can feel disappointing. If you really focus in on it, much of the experience boils down to selecting destinations from menus, rather than engaging in dynamic hands-on piloting. This design choice makes space travel feel more like a series of disconnected events, rather than an organic journey through the cosmos. There's also an issue of lack of enemy variety. Combat is such a core component of Starfield, and yet there's such a limited variety of enemies encountered throughout this game. Whether exploring planets, engaging in space battles, or infiltrating enemy bases, the range of adversaries is often repetitive. This lack of diversity can lead to predictable encounters, reducing the excitement and challenge of combat. While some alien creatures are present, their designs and roles in gameplay are limited. A broader range of enemies, each with unique abilities and strategies, could make combat encounters much more dynamic and rewarding. The companions play a significant role in Starfield, offering support during exploration and combat while providing opportunities for storytelling and character development. However, their behavior and dialogue leave much to be desired. Companions act more as moral arbiters than fully fleshed out characters. They often disapprove of actions that deviate from a virtuous path, which can limit role-playing options for players who wish to explore morally ambiguous or villainous choices. Additionally, the interactions with companions can feel shallow, with limited dialogue options and character progression. In comparison to games like Mass Effect, where companions had deep backstories and meaningful relationships, Starfield's approach feels less impactful. Enhancing companion dynamics could significantly improve the game's narrative depth and replayability. With a game that asks so many philosophical questions of its player, it's a shame that the companions have the depth of a kiddie swimming pool. Despite being built on Bethesda's updated creation engine, Starfield has faced technical issues that have frustrated players. Poor optimization, particularly on PC, has led to performance problems such as frame rate drops and long loading times. I initially played Starfield on Xbox Series X, and I was blown away by the polish and lack of bugs throughout my playthrough, only to go online to hear people berating it about these things. Though I didn't experience it myself, I can understand how frustrating game-breaking bugs can be in a game. The video game industry has long been a space for innovation, creativity, and deep player engagement. Yet, as games continue to evolve in complexity and scale, so too do the dynamics of their reception. One of the most interesting and concerning aspects of contemporary video game culture is the phenomenon of hate directed at particular titles, regardless of their actual quality or merit. In many ways, the backlash against Starfield is a clear illustration of how social contagion can fuel and amplify negativity within a community. But what is social contagion? Social contagion refers to the process by which behaviors, emotions, and attitudes spread from one individual to another, often unintentionally and unconsciously. It occurs when individuals are influenced by the reactions, behaviors, or opinions of those around them, particularly within social networks or communities. Social contagion is a powerful phenomenon in the digital age, where information, including both positive and negative sentiments, can spread rapidly across platforms. Bethesda had already fallen out of the community's good graces with an absolutely botched Fallout 76 release, which painted a bigger target on their backs and made them a much easier target for the gaming community that shoots first and asks questions later. Many content creators are aware of the powerful role that social contagion plays in shaping discourse, and some actively capitalize on this phenomenon for financial gain. By amplifying popular opinions, often negative ones, content creators can attract significant attention, views, and ultimately revenue. They further entrench the social contagion surrounding a particular topic, fueling the cycle of hate and creating a feedback loop that benefits their bottom line. Maybe it's time to form an opinion of your own. Starfield being labeled as empty, shallow, or not as good as Skyrim, while understandable in some ways, are ultimately unfounded when you really dig into the game. First, there's the issue of empty worlds. Yes, some planets are vast and seemingly barren, but that's the point. These planets are blank slates for your imagination. The emptiness invites exploration, not only of the environment, but of yourself. Starfield is not about simply checking off quests and collecting loot. It's about creating your own narrative in a sprawling, untamed universe. Starfield is a game that wants you to feel alone, and when you're standing there, scanning rocks under an alien sky, that loneliness is palpable. Even the way you travel in Starfield reinforces this solitude. Space is not a seamless playground where you hop from one planet to another without consequence. Instead, it's segmented by loading screens and menus, emphasizing the vast distances between celestial bodies. It's my belief that Bethesda sacrificed easy traversal between planets to keep the vast gulf between us and other planets as real as possible. Every jump through the blackness reminds you of just how far you are from anything. This is space travel stripped of its Hollywood glamour. It's not flashy, it's isolating, and it was an extremely risky choice for a AAA game. Starfield also leans into this deep sense of isolation in its environmental storytelling. Abandoned stations, derelict ships, and forgotten colonies are scattered throughout the game. They tell tales of people who ventured into the stars and vanished without a trace. These fragments of the past serve as haunting reminders that the universe is as dangerous as it is beautiful. Yet there is beauty in this loneliness. Starfield's most profound moments come when you stop and take it all in. The endless horizons, the distant stars, the quiet hum of your ship's engine. It's in these moments that the game captures the true essence of space exploration, the awe, the wonder, and yes, the emptiness. Starfield is an experience that makes you confront the loneliness of being a speck in an infinite universe. It's not always comfortable, but it's unforgettable. And in the end, isn't that what great storytelling is all about?